from wherever you are. We're coming to you live from our studios here in Kokomlemle on digital address GA0992539. Our leading stories is our former Attorney General in ex-President Rawlings' administration, Obed Asamoah, casts doubt on special prosecutor's ability to prosecute former President Mahama in the Airbus scandal. More, as the special prosecutor says his office never started investigations into allegations made against former Public Procurement Authority boss due to the attitude of his investigators. Also coming up, we take you back to Wale Wale, where one person sustained gunshot injuries as robbers went on a rampage attacking mobile money merchants there. Also in this bulletin, hundreds trooped to Accra International Conference Center to sign the book of condolence for late President Rawlings. We'll hear from son of the ex-president Atta Mills, who was there as well. My name is Gifty Andopia. This is The Pulse. Please be my guest. You're welcome. Let me take you through the details of those stories now. Anti-graft campaigners have challenged the Akufo-Addo administration to resource the Special Prosecutor's Office following Martin Amidu's complaint that cases being investigated are unduly delayed because investigators appear compromised. The complaint comes after Mr. Amidu was criticized for his delay in investigating the contracts for sales scandal involving former PPA boss Ejenim Boateng Ejay. There is more in this News Desk report.
Press statement Monday. Martin Amidu said the Ejenim Boateng Ejay case was taking too long to investigate because his seconded staff investigators appeared compromised. Parts of the statement read, quote, "When the first draft report was submitted to me, I felt scandalized. I called a management meeting on August 10, 2020 with the investigators," end quote. It also pointed out how the incriminating evidence in their possession were inconsistent with their interim report. According to Mr. Amidu, his office never started the investigations into the contracts for sale allegations because of the attitude of the investigators on the case. It further read, quote, "Nobody should ask me about my disciplinary authority over my seconded staff because I have had none since I assumed the office, and those who needed to know have had knowledge of this fact for years. The documentary evidence is overwhelming," end quote. Mr. Amidu in a statement noted that Shraj ought to be commended for its work and report, but stated that, quote, "The only problem with the Shraj report is that for some reason it understates the amounts disclosed by the bank statement from the 3 bank accounts of Mr. Ejay, exhaustively reviewed by the Auditor General for this office," end quote, he said in a statement.
That's News Desk reports there. We can now hear from Adam Senano, who is with the Citizen Ghana Movement Against Corruption.
I think that the special prosecutor is being as blunt as he can be at this stage. Obviously, the complaint that Shraj has been able to deliver a report when he ought to have done the substantive report by now probably has speeded up his reaction. Now, we clearly have a problem with the independence and operational efficiency of the SPO. These have been compromised, and clearly so by the mechanisms put in place for him to procure the necessary labor, human resource to play the functions required of the office. I think that right at the beginning, Mr. Amidu had talked about how he needed the capacity to do his own identification, selection, and appointment of officers who he could trust. And this is just playing out to show that he was absolutely right. To the extent that he had no influence over who was seconded to him, to the extent that, and again, it is telling on the quality of the staff at the Auditor Generals that they refuse to go along with these gentlemen who were saying that these are very good cases, who make a lot of money. And again, it speaks to the good collaboration to the extent that the Auditor General then told him that, look, this is what my men found out about the guys in your office. I think that our civil society, as media, we ought to impress upon the government of the day to show good faith by immediately, and the presidency has that capacity to authorize Mr. Amidu to do a search and select the kind of competent staff that will allow him to swiftly deal with these cases so that we have the kind of information he can take to court and get the necessary sanctions so that we don't undermine the operational efficiency of his office.
I'm sure the question on on the minds of a lot of Ghanaians is if we would ever win this fight against corruption. Today we hear this, tomorrow the next. The creation of the Special Prosecutor's Office was supposed to be that one thing that will elevate, if I may say, or intensify the fight. But it appears that we're still at the same point.
Yes. Political systems evolve. If you look at the Western democracies that we look up to, most of them have had over 200 years of putting in place the structures and systems and processes. So we should never give up. It is only when the voices of the people are no longer being heard, then we have a challenge. And that's why we say that the cost of a thriving democracy is eternal vigilance by the citizens. We must constantly be scanning what is going on and ensuring that together we hold hands and speak up when we think that something is wrong. And with our collective influence, we can always bring change. And this is one of the areas where we need to clinically look at what has gone wrong. And clearly it is the appointment capacity of the special prosecutor. Even then, you cannot avoid having one or two bad nuts, but the screening process where he can do a background check, test integrity in other positions that they may have occupied before allowing them to be part of his office would have served as another layer of, of checks that would have ensured higher quality in terms of the integrity of the people in this office. That has not transpired. It is a necessary thing we must change, and we should not get tired. This fight is a long battle. It's a long-drawn battle, and we better not get tired about it. That's the price we have to pay to pursue a democratic governance system.
Do you get a sense that from the special prosecutors, the language he uses and his posturing, do you get a sense that he's helpless or feels helpless?
Well, in a sense, yes, because he said he had brought this to the attention of different quarters. And I'm glad, every 6 months he's supposed to report to us. I think that we as the people need to make a lot more of a fuss about this issue. He highlighted it at the beginning. He indicates he's written to the board, that is the board chair, and in other documents, the Japan report, he talked about it again. I think he's just saying that, you know what, I've been trying to engage around this issue and bring to the attention of the necessary authorities that you got to do something about the people seconded to me. I need to have people I can trust, people who have integrity. Yes, you are right, and it's up to us, the rest of Ghana, to ensure that he gets what he needs. In fact, it's a standard thing that employers must provide the tools and the support that an employee needs to be able to perform.
That's Adam Senano there. He's with the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. In the meantime, former Attorney General in the ex-President Rawlings administration, Dr. Obed Yaw-Asamoah, is casting doubt over the special prosecutor's ability to prosecute former President John Mahama in the Airbus scandal. Martin Amidu, as you may well recall, in the corruption risk assessment reports on the Japan royalties deal, had identified Mr. Mahama as government official 1, explaining he hadn't interrogated the former president because he was preparing for an upcoming election. Dr. Obed Asamoah tells my colleague Benjamin Akakbu the special prosecutor does not have the requisite evidence to prosecute the former president.
It will be abrogated and thrown out. Really, this is one of the most obscene acts. The process, the people who were put on the board, the incentives that were given to people for the roles that they played, and then the whole idea, the economic aspect of it. After all, you were going to get about $120 million yearly from your minerals. Now, you've just somehow put all that together and, put it out somewhere for so many years. You would have been better off taking the $120 million every year for many years instead of, coming out with a program whereby you would only be getting about $500 million. I mean,
I've listened to some of the analysis, and it says that within 2 years, if you look at the royalties we get in this country per year, within 2 years we should be getting around the 500 million that we're staking our royalties against. So, but you spoke about those on the board and all of that. Let's talk about Osafo Mafo's son, for example. Is it not a matter of merit qualification? He is one of those, and it's been said. Gabi Asare Otridako and others in the MPP have said that if he is qualified, let's let the person do it. What is the problem with that?
Well, was there open competition? That is the issue.
They suggest there was.
Well,
and that he qualified, having gone through the systems.
Well, they will have to demonstrate to us, because there are so many others who are qualified who never heard about it. So I think that is where the problem is. Right. But I think that that whole deal has to be thrown out. I mean, really. Taking it back to Parliament is a waste of everybody's time.
The special prosecutor, though he was not meant to do this, also added that he suspects, in fact, to quote him, he surmises that government official one is John Dramani Mahama. I'm sure you followed the Airbus scandal and everything to do with it. How do you feel about that?
Well, there isn't any specific mention of him, of John Mahama. Although if you read the report and all that, it kind of points at him. But you see, those who were held accountable in Britain were admitted responsibility, but on condition of more or less anonymity. I mean, they didn't have to mention that A got this or B got that, But in any case, that whole project was under the NDC government, and somebody within the NDC government was responsible for getting that money. So, I mean, there's no way NDC can escape responsibility for it.
So there's no extricating the NDC from the
No. I can't see how they can extricate themselves from that.
One thorny matter that has come up, and I subscribe to it, I feel that if Mr. Special Prosecutor, and he's called prosecutor for a reason, if he has enough grounds to believe that the former president is government official one, which would put him in a compromising situation, then the time is now, even before the elections, to follow the legal processes. But he has also said that it's a national security situation, and he feels he should allow the elections to go on. But what if the people of Ghana elect John Dramani Mahama to become president again? Is the special prosecutor now going to prosecute him, so to speak? What should be done before? Now, I want to take the legal mind on this one.
Yeah, but see, that is the thing. I have not concluded positively that it is John Mahama.
But if he were?
If he were, the question is, would you have the evidence to be able to prosecute him right now? You can't. You can only get the evidence from the British fraud office, and they will not be able to. They won't tell you that. You see, so it's going to be very difficult to prove your case, and that I think is the problem of Martin. I'm quite sure that if he had the evidence to prove his case, he would take action.
So you feel he doesn't have the evidence?
He doesn't. To get the evidence, you have to get it from the British, and they won't give it to you.
Right. Let's talk about this briefly before we get into Jerry John Rawlings, whom we're memorializing. The NDC lost monumentally in 2016 by some 800,000 votes. After that, there were moves to find out why the party lost and all of that. Do you feel the NDC, your party, and I know you at a brief moment left the NDC, formed the DFP, came back to join the NDC. Do you feel the NDC has learned the lessons it needs to have learned as a party ahead of election 2020?
Benjamin Akakbo, they engaging Mr. Obed Asamoah. One person was shot last night after gunmen attacked a mobile money operator in Wale Wale. Eyewitnesses said the attack occurred at about 6 p.m. near the district police headquarters, where the armed men arrived on a motorbike and opened fire before taking away a huge sum of money from the operator. A local watchman witnessed the attack and narrates what he saw to JoyNews.
Yeah. Then the time we are here, we hear their shoot gun here. That time, everybody ran away, sleep down. Some people, they come in, oh, they saw them, everybody will run away. They say, Supreme money. They pop. Everybody will run away. Then they move the money. They pass this road. Go out, they go.
Access to lie down. They will lay down. And I was just lying down in the shop, and one of them pointed the gun directly to me and stop and shoot. And it nearly touched me. They were all flying me.
We're still on the time bomb. And I'm pleading with the security agency, they should be up and do it. Not necessarily the guys at the barricades all over the checkpoints. They should try to get them into the area. As I was saying, for me and this area, I will not rely much again on security agencies. Right. But we can only call for military to come and help in addition with the police. But for now as we speak, the guys should come out and help. Okay. As a vigilante group into the area. Because like the system is not changing.
Ilyasu Tanko gathered that story for us. He's our correspondent in the Northeast region. He's joining me on the phone. Hello, Ilyasu. Ilyasu, I hope you can hear me. I also have on the line Superintendent Ruben Yao, who is also the crime officer for the Northeast region. Superintendent Duga, you are welcome. Thank you for your time. Okay, gentlemen, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Kipsi.
That's you, Ilyasu, I suppose.
Yes.
Great. Ilyasu, what more do we know? What has changed this morning?
Well, nothing has really changed except that people are still living in fear, widespread fear in the whole municipality. As we understand, even though we have not received official reports from police, but according to our sources, this is the 30th robbery incident or robbery attack since January this year. And like we said, the 30th happened yesterday around 6 p.m. when this armed man on a motorcycle invaded this particular mobile operator close to the police district headquarters here in Wale Wale, opened fire on the people around the merchant and steal huge sum of money. As you understand, it is not clear how much was taken away, but we understand a huge sum of money was taken away by these robbers. One person was shot. We followed up at the hospital. We spoke to him. He received gunshots injured at the back, just around the waist level, and he's now being treated at the Wale Wale Government Hospital. So really, nothing has changed. In the last 2 weeks alone, there have been more than 5 robbery attacks in the West Mamprese municipality here.
And certainly that's something that will be cataloging much later. Ilyasu, hang on for me. Let me engage Superintendent Ruben Yao Duga. Sir, thank you for your time. Good afternoon. What do your investigations tell you so far? Superintendent, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, sir. I hear you perfectly. Do you hear me, please?
Hello?
So do tell us, I assume you can hear me, do tell us what your investigation is telling you. I mean, the least information that you can share with the public at this point. What is it telling you?
Oh, well, good afternoon to you and good afternoon to your listeners this afternoon. What I can confirm is that about 2 weeks ago, we recorded like a street robbery incident, which was perpetrated against some mobile money vendors, 2 of them, in the community called Kukwazugu within Wale Wale. And for a long time, that has been the first of its kind we have recorded. And we are following it up to identify the individuals who were involved in perpetrating that. As we continue to do that, yesterday, a similar incident happened within the same community. And in that case, a shop operator was attacked by two guys on motorbike, and apparently they were firing and they shot into the shop, and reportedly they have taken an unspecified amount of money away, which we are yet to know the amount of money taken away. What is happening at the moment is that because of the new trend, this kind of robbery activity is taking, the regional command has deployed foot patrols all over the region and policemen all over the place to show visibility and ensure that anybody who has such bad intent will see that the police are around, and so will be deterred from carrying out such
and hopefully, Superintendent, hopefully, sorry to cut you there, that happens. But you said 2 weeks ago this happened. The incident that happened 2 weeks ago, what has the police been able to do about that particular incident?
If you could come again with your question,
I'm asking about what you have done about the incident that happened 2 weeks ago. The robbery incident that you mentioned happened 2 weeks ago.
What has been done is that the investigation is still ongoing. Mostly, it is difficult to identify these individuals. Even the people who fell victim could not make them out. And so we're still gathering information as to who they were. They came on motorbike and left on motorbike. Police were not on the spot. Police were calling. They came in. We came in later. And we are still making an effort to identify who precisely they were, who came around to do such things.
Are you having difficulties identifying who did this or unraveling what happened because of logistics? Because then that can easily be, explained to be the reason why another has happened in just 2 weeks and why people will fear that more will happen.
Well, talking about logistics, we are managing with the little we have. And so we are making efforts, and we call on the general public to give us information as well so we can follow some of these issues. We believe that these people who go around on motorbike doing these things, they live within the communities. And we are ready to cooperate with the members of the community to get information as to such individuals so we can actually bring them to book. For logistics, yes, we cannot pride ourselves with having that much, but we are managing with the little we have at the moment.
What is the one thing you think the Northeast Police will need at this point to help in the investigations going forward?
We need all kinds of resources to support us, talking about human resource, logistics, and all that. And I know these things can never be sufficient anyway. We have our problems elsewhere. They also have their challenges. And so we are hoping and praying that as and when there is, we should be supported with more so we can put up the best. Yeah.
Right. Our reporter, who is also on the line, has just told us, eventually, in fact, he gave us the information that you've given us, you've repeated for us as well, which is that you cannot specify the amount involved in this particular robbery. But are you picking up any leads at all? I mean, of course, it's an ongoing investigation, so you don't need to share the very tiny details with us. But are you picking up any leads at all that will help you unravel this?
Like you rightly said, this is an investigation, and wouldn't like to put out any such information out there. But what I can assure you is that the issues are being investigated, and as and when we make a headway and some arrests are made, we shall be made public.
Thank you very much for your time. Superintendent Yao Dugai is a crime officer for the Northeast Police. They're joining us with some details. So what he tells us is that A robbery incident occurred or happened like 2 weeks ago, and just yesterday there was another. And subsequently, JoyNews will be cataloging some of these issues and throwing the spotlight on it, see how our authorities will deal with it. But then he also says that they've increased foot patrols, that the police has deployed foot patrols trying to deal with this. But of course, logistics is always a problem. Eliasu is still there. Eliasu, let's wrap up with you. What are people saying in the neighborhood, in the community today?
I give the question again, please.
What are people saying following this happened? Apparently, a similar thing happened 2 weeks ago. It's happened again today. What are people saying? How is the reaction from the people who live in this community?
Well, the reaction, as you heard from the assemblyman in the area, in the clip there, he's now calling for military intervention. The entire municipality, the people in here believe that the police have lost the fight, and so they are calling for military intervention. Well, some of them are also calling for the police to be resourced, both logistically and the personnel to help them fight crime in the area.
Eliasu, thank you very much. Eliasu Tanko there is our correspondent in the Northeast region, bringing us up to speed. So 2 robberies in less than 2 weeks. The police says they're investigating. They've deployed foot patrols to try and protect the people in this area. But as you heard Eliasu say, the community members or the people who live in this community are calling for military intervention and also for more resources for the police there. Away from that, 1,585 people have so far died of road accident, with at least 1,150 people dying in the first 6 months of this year. That's 15 of an 80-seater bus load of people. That's statistics the National Road Safety Authority want every driver to remember each day as the elections and Christmas approach. Survivors of some of the accidents have been sharing their stories at a ceremony held to remember road accident victims here in Accra. Linda Darko's report read to you. That is a woman who lost a fetus in a road accident. She can hardly speak, even though she has been invited to share her story at the World Day of Remembrance for Road Accident Victims. At least 6 people die in road accidents every day, according to 2019 statistics by the MTTD. 2 others also shared stories of how they narrowly escaped death.
And all of a sudden, car no a born.
In the first 6 months of this year alone, almost 1,150 people have been killed in road accidents. That's about 15 of an 80-seater bus load of people. This program was organized by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly to create awareness as the elections and Christmas draw closer. Authorities say checking speed limits will be priority going forward. Mabel Sego is Chief Director of the Transport Ministry.
The ministry will continue to support Road Safety Authority and DVLA to implement the following measures: the installation of speed limiters in all intercity commercial vehicles, ensuring that there are pre-departure checks at lorry terminals, to have passenger manifest, and also to ensure that we have mandatory refresher training for all commercial vehicle drivers in line with Regulation 33 and 125 of the Road Traffic Regulations 2012, LI 2180.
For his part, Chief Executive of the AMA, Mohammed Ejay Soa, said police now have gadgets to help in easy identification of perpetrators, who he says will be severely punished if caught.
We have also supported the police with a laser cam 4-speed detecting cameras that we are expecting the police to use it. This is the latest speed cameras that we have in our country, and we have provided about 6 to the Ghana Police MTT department. It is not like the ordinary speed gun that's what has been using, but this one captures the speed in terms of video, and it will be telling you the speed at which that you are, so that when you send someone to court, you have an evidence to present to the judge for the punishment.
The National Road Safety Authority has partnered JoyNews for several months to roll out the Arrive Alive campaign. Director General of the NRSA is appealing to all of us to be vigilant on the road.
I want to encourage all Ghanaians that we should obey rules we should not overspeed. We should, when we talked about jaywalking, walk on the right side of the road so that you can see the vehicle and the driver can also see you so that you can protect yourself. Crossing roads as places that are not designated. If there's a footbridge, let us use it. The government have built bridges for us. Let us use the bridges. They will protect us. And then, of course, the use of our seat belts and our crash helmets. If you're in a vehicle, there's the provision of seat belts. Let us put on the seat belts. If there should be a crash, you would save your life.
More for Christmas, Ghanaians are reminded that arriving at your destinations should be your priority when you get on the road. Linda Darkus reports for JoyNews.
And let us not forget, arriving safely and alive is more important than arriving dead or even late. You're still watching The Pulse with me, Gifty and up here. We'll return with more. Do stay with us. You're welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, a smartphone app that allows canoe fishers to gather evidence of all illegal fishing practices at sea has been launched in Cape Coast. The app, named Days, which means evidence in Fanti, provides a simple, user-friendly program that can help the fisherfolk rid Ghanaian waters of illegal fishing that threatens their livelihoods. Richard Kujonyako has more.
The app, easy to install and flexible to use by all fishers, was developed by the Environmental Justice Foundation and Henem Puano under the European Union-funded Farijuman Kodo project. With this app, all that is needed is a small amount of space on a smartphone, and when a vessel is spotted fishing illegally or damaging a fishing gear, the user simply opens the app and takes a photo of the vessel with its name or identification number, showing and records the location. The application then uploads the report to a central database where the evidence can be used by the Fisheries Commission to arrest and sanction the perpetrators. Fisheries Programs Manager of the Environmental Justice Foundation, Secretary Sebo, explains the purpose of the app and what it's intended to do.
One of the major contribution to the stock decline, like we said, is cycle, which has to do with the incursions of the industrial trawlers in the IEZ, where they are not licensed to fish. So when the canoes see them, they can capture the evidence which is geotagged and the specific location. Then this evidence will be sent to the Fisheries Commission for further investigation. Now, because it is geotagged and the location has a very high accuracy level, the Fisheries Commission can ascertain that indeed this vessel incurred in the IEZ, was fishing in the IEZ, and therefore we need to enforce the necessary sanctions in line with the Fisheries Act.
Secretary Sebo also prayed the regulators would support the fishing industry by acting on the evidences that are gathered by the fisherfolk using the app.
What we wish is that to encourage the gathering of data, to encourage the gathering of evidence, and to encourage the gathering of other necessary data needed for enforcement, the Fisheries Commission should investigate these evidence that will be provided, and where they do confirm the infractions, enforce the necessary sanctions. It is the only way to deter people from committing these crimes on our waters and provide hope to halt the decline of the fishery and rebuild the stock.
A national executive member of the Ghana National Canoe Fishermen Council, Nanajo Solomon, was excited about the breakthrough, but prayed the regulators would support the fishing industry.
I think it is fantastic. It will also help alleviate a lot of suspicion between industry players and regulators and our friends on the industrial side of the Chinese, because this time you cannot accuse anybody without evidence, and therefore this gives accurate evidence. Place, time, the exact activity and everything. So I think it couldn't have been any better. I think it's okay.
During the development of the app, the Farijuman Kodo project engaged the over 700 fishers across the 48 communities in Ghana's central region, as well as working closely with the Fisheries Commission. The process provided the fisherfolk and government staff with training to use the app, and their suggestions and feedback helped to perfect it. Richard Kwejonya Akon, Joy News, Cape Coast.
And a former president of the Ghana Bar Association, Paul Edujemfi, has reiterated the need for the country to train more lawyers if a fair and just society is to be achieved. He says the notion of a glut in the training of lawyers must be discounted. While a special fund is set aside to train lawyers, he spoke at a ceremony to commemorate the 10th anniversary of the Ghana School of Law in Kumasi.
The commemoration of the 10 years of the existence of the Ghana School of Law, Kumasi, brought together members of the Ghana Bar Association and all students. Over 500 lawyers have graduated from the Kumasi campus since its inception 10 years ago. Former president of the Ghana Bar Association, Paul Edujemfi, says more lawyers need to be trained. He suggested a special fund to promote legal training and encourage research in law.
We rather need to train more lawyers in our search for a just and fair society in Ghana. We salute the founding fathers for their vision to open up the Kumasi campus and hope that our overstretched lecturers will continue to give their best to make an enduring dream possible. A fund should be set up as a matter of urgency to promote legal education and training in Ghana. A fund that will ensure the construction and maintenance of infrastructure and encourage research in law and motivate lecturers.
Chief Justice Kwesi Enim-Yeboah revealed the General Legal Council will ensure full implementation of its legal authority in enrolling only students who obtain LLB degree from universities approved by the council.
The review and development of the curriculum, method of instruction, and the admission procedures of all the approved universities running the LLB program. Simultaneously, the General Legal Council will also ensure the full implementation of its legal authority to enroll.
Prince Apia filed that report, but often referred to as a lifestyle. The lifelong socioeconomic impact of diabetes on its victims is the reason why health experts continue to drum home the need for healthy lifestyle choices to reduce vulnerability by at least 90%, with risk factors including unhealthy diet, lack of physical activity, the use of tobacco, secondhand smoking, and excessive drinking of alcohol. Health complications arising from diabetes could go as far as causing blindness. As part of activities to mark World Diabetes Day last Saturday, surgeons at Agawal's Eye Hospital have been urging the public to be wary of their choices to avoid the disease.
The last assessment of the prevalence, that means the number of people who have diabetes worldwide, was estimated to be 468 million in all. And it's projected that in the next, 2030, it will be about 500,000. And even 2045, we're expecting something more than 700 million.
Senior eye surgeon at Agawal's Eye Hospital, Dr. Awisom Senaja, given a breakdown of the current and projected prevalence of diabetes across the globe. In Ghana, an estimated 1.8 million people, representing about 6% of the population, are living with one type of diabetes or the other. This is worrying, especially because more than half of the cases are undiagnosed.
Many people are walking on the street now who don't know they have the disease. Mortality rate in 2016 is about 1.6 million people who have died from diabetic-related diseases. And that alone went to 2.2 million in 2012.
Though the cause of diabetes could be genetic, it is generally considered a lifestyle disease.
And I always advise my patient, if you try not to put sugar in your tea, and you eat the kenke or the rice, there may not be any difference because it will be broken down to sugar. That is one. Your diet is crucial. Then number two, physical activities. Of course, you need to burn it. This sugar accumulates in the blood because you have not used it. So if you use it, then of course, there will be less sugar circulating in the blood.
As one of the most prevalent non-communicable diseases, diabetes is a major risk factor for severe illness and mortality in patients. Besides being one of the non-communicable diseases contributing to 95% of all of Ghana's COVID-19 related deaths, the complications from diabetes extend to the eye.
The retina must have enough blood supply for it to be able to see. But when you have diabetes over a period, those blood vessels will close over time because the sugar will continue to coat on the blood vessel walls that carries the blood to the eye. And because the blood vessels are so small and tiny in the eye, they are more vulnerable.
At least now you know. Let's keep safe. Now, the National Democratic Congress says the biggest last respect it can give to the founder and former President Jerry John Rawlings is to win the 2020 elections. Various speakers at a vigil held at the Obra Spot on Sunday evening said that it is the only way that the party can properly implement the values of probity, accountability, transparency, integrity, the things that the former president represented. Maxwell Agbaba with more.
Many of the party supporters became emotional as the flute was played. It was a mix of bobobo, solemn music, interspersed with speeches from some top officials of the party. Chairman of the NDC, Samuel Ofuswampofu, says the best gift the party can give to its founder is by winning the 2020 elections.
There is only one thing I ask of you. Let's close our ranks. Let's come together. Let's actively participate in this rescue mission to rescue Ghana. Focus on the election because we need to win this election. The best tribute that we can pay to the memory of our founding father is to win this election convincingly so that we can continue to uphold the flame of the principle that he stood for.
General Secretary of the party, Johnson Esiedu Nketia, believes that is the only way Jerry Rawlings' legacies can live on.
So the best tribute we can pay to the memory of our founder is to accomplish the rescue mission that will position us to implement the principles he lived and died for. He taught us that in every struggle, when comrades fall, we walk over their bodies to ensure that the mission is accomplished before we come to count the dead. So, ladies and gentlemen, be fired up by the temporary demise of our founder to win these elections and rescue this nation, Ghana, which was dear to his heart, from the very ills he has fought against all his life.
Children of the former president Zaneto and Kimati Rawlings were at the vigil. Zaneto Rawlings says to honor the memory of Jerry John Rawlings, Ghanaians have to protect what they have during the December 7 elections.
As we stand here today to honor his memory, I will leave you with a quote from my father. We often get lost in the games of politics and often forget our North Star should be our principles, values, and kindness to one another. We often get lost in the games of politics and often forget that our North Star should be our principles, values, and kindness to one another. In many ways, this is summed up by the Golden Rule, that we treat each other as we would love to be treated. I pray that as we enter this period towards the election on the 7th of December, that we let these values live within us and we absolutely protect what we have as a nation, because that is how we will honor his memory. I thank you, and God bless you all.
NDC presidential candidate John Mahama was present at the vigil with his wife. He has been eulogizing J.J. Rawlings.
What happens with our mortal remains are ephemeral. As was said by Shakespeare in the book Julius Caesar, the evil that men do lives after them. The good is often interred with their bones. For the cadres of the revolution and the members of the NDC, we must work and fight to ensure that his good is not interred with his bones, and that his positive impact on the history of this nation is preserved for posterity, and that the principles that he stood for are recounted to future generations yet unborn. Thanks to the organizers of this vigil, there's another joke we shared at Hogbechocho. We were sitting together and the Agbaja was taking place seriously. And all the back, moves and all that. And then I cracked the joke. I told him, I said, boss, I called him boss. You see why you Ewe men don't get backache? Because of the vigorous Agbaja and the back exercises you do. He laughed and didn't say anything. And then that occasion you saw was when he was being given a doctorate at the University of Development Studies. And while we were at that function, there was a cultural troupe from the north that was doing the Bamaya dance. And for those of you who know the Bamaya, it involves a lot of waist shaking. I thought he had forgotten about this, and he said, Chief, you see why you Northerners don't have waist pains? You see how they are shaking their waist? That's the kind of person we have lost.
You heard the flag bearer of the opposition NDC, John Dramani Mahama, was still in the 7 days of mourning declared by President Akufo-Addo. Now the flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama, has also signed a book of condolence in memory of the late former President Flight Lieutenant General John Rawlings. The government has set aside, as you know, 1 week for the mourning and remembrance of the demise, the man who died Thursday, November the 12th. Today's event is among many other arrangements to honor the former president. Several other state officials and dignitaries have signed the Book of Condolence, which has been displayed at the Accra International Conference Center.
Because this country needs reconciliation. Political so-called opponents are not enemies. And when we see people demonstrating and doing vandalism in the name of politics, it is sad. We should take a cue from him. The way he reconciled with our current president, that is something that all of us should learn to copy. Ghanaians are Ghanaians. Tribe is completely irrelevant. You see, he's an Ewe, he's an Anglo man. He was married to an Asante princess. Isn't that something for all of us to learn to understand? That we are one nation, with one people, with one destiny. This is the legacy I think that Jerry John Rawlings has left for all of us. And so let's propagate it. You are from the media. Propagate it. Tell us that we don't have enemies in Ghana. Nobody is an enemy. We are all Ghanaians. You have one way of thinking, I have another way of thinking. It does not make me right and you wrong. Nor you right and me wrong. Some people say that all the fingers are not the same. But you can see that no single figure can do any work without the others. Each is supportive of the other. And this is what nation building is all about. So we need peace and tranquility. Let's bury him with the dignity that he deserves.
Thank you very much, sir. Speaking about the burial, we should take precedent. The state, the party.
He is a former president of Ghana. It is the state's responsibility. But the state, of course, would do with consultation with the family. But it is the state's responsibility. Sometimes I have to caution people to appreciate that when you are elected into a position, you become public property. You are no longer your own. You are no longer your own. It is public property. Yes. And I'm not speaking. Holy. I'm not speaking for the Council of State.
No more questions.
I'm speaking as a Ghanaian.
No more questions. No more questions.
My heart is still heavy, and my heart.
There's a camera.
Rollis, and to the family of the late Jerry John Rollis. I'm still recovering from a devastated grief, but I've come to eulogize him as Ghana's ever youngest president and Ghana's ever longest serving president. That is what history has for him as president of our republic. The youngest to be president of our republic and the highest to have ruled and governed our country. If our democracy flourishes as it promises to, every other head of state or president will have a maximum 8-year tenure. No more, no less. Jerry Rawlings ruled this country for 19 years, 8 years constitutionally, and some 11 years under military rule. But it is to his credit that he navigated Ghana from what writers have described as its political abyss, in the words of Shillington and Ali Mazuri and Ayer and Jimabwedu, to modern-day constitutional democratic Ghana under multi-party constitutional democracy. So probably you are right in saying that he started off without respecting rights and freedoms as is akin to multi-party constitutional democratic era. But he ended a democratic leader, not manipulating the electoral system, not manipulating the constitution, and not manipulating the political system to his favor or the favor of his political party. History will remember and honor him as a remarkable public servant who sought the public good of our country, and his death must inspire young people, including me, not to aspire to political office because of the perks of office and the opportunity to want to enrich ourselves at the disadvantage of the state, and that our inspiration to public service must at all times be for the public good. That is what I remember him for. He laid a solid foundation for the political, social, and economic reforms of our country. At least he liberalized the economy, even though he was not an avowed believer in laissez-faire market economics and its politics. He liberalized our political landscape, respecting fundamental human rights and freedoms and liberties. And he liberated our social and economic space through infrastructure, whether it's rural electrification or fighting to end Guinea worm. History will remember him for making an unparalleled contribution to the development of Ghana.
2008 and made sure that he became president, obviously had a huge impact in my life. And you know, today I get the level of recognition I get because of those single decisions that he made. So for me, I'm extremely grateful I met him just a few weeks before he passed away, and you know, he extended me that opportunity to meet him, and you know, we had a very good discussion. So for me, I'm very sad, but I'm also grateful. He played a huge role in my life, and I can't deny that.
And then in terms of the message you penned down, what exactly did you say?
That's exactly what I just said. Exactly what I just said. Exactly what I just said. So thank you very much.
Yeah,
thank you.
All right.
Will long be remembered by generations yet unborn. And for many of us, this handing over of power at the end of his second term in office to a constitutionally elected government also set a gold record for our democracy. Speaking as Minister for Trade and Industry, his role in helping Ghana to secure the bid to host the continental free trade area in our country would also forever be remembered. May the good Lord receive his soul in his bosom.
You have a personal listening with him. What do you remember of the former president Charlie personally?
First, his charisma as a leader enabled him to mobilize people around his vision. And that is always very important in leadership. And also as a leader who was clear and confident about what he was looking for. It made it possible for him not to be pushed around by friends and foe alike.
You're a trade
Thank
minister. You're a trade minister.
A close confidant of the former president, Dr. Benjamin Kumbo, has also revealed that Mr. Rawlings, his greatest regret was the increase in corruption levels after the bloody revolution which saw him into office. According to Dr. Kumbo, some NDC members are committing the same crime which people were executed for during the June 4 uprising. He says the former president was angered by that. Listen to him talking to Daniel Dazi in an exclusive interview.
At the social level, I can say that a lot of social infrastructure intervention, and one of them I always mention, which I keep discussing with him, there was no way but for the passion of Jerry John Rawlings that the national grid of electricity could have gone to the north. It was impossible. He threatened engineers that if that was not possible, they should resign. He will get another engineer to do that. It was done. We are here enjoying it, and Akosombo has not dried up. That's the social level. When you go for the political level, I keep asking people, lawyers particularly, immediately the Constitution came and the indemnity clauses are not democratic. These transition provisions, they are not democratic. The question those lawyers don't ask themselves in terms of constitutional practice, why is it that this is the only constitution that has survived for 27 years? Is it not indeed the case that it was a political document well negotiated which brought everybody on board? The next was Kwame Nkrumah's constitution, under Kwame Nkrumah. It didn't last 6 years maximum. But we have had a constitution people claim had dictatorial and non-democratic clauses that has survived 27 years. Do they bother to do the analysis and find out why? I think that was his biggest Achilles heel. Because any time we met, after talking, the conclusion would always be, Ben, you people remember that people paid the ultimate price for 1/10 of what is going on today. Most of our comrades, good ones, lost their life in the process of both June 4th and 31st December. And that is his regret. Because there is nothing to show that the people really died for Ghana to be a better place from the indications of what was happening. That has always been a very passionate, and he was a bit more, he was angrier where he perceived that some of these things were taking place within his own political party. That was his biggest problem. Because I've been telling people, if you don't draw, you don't take the pathway of his reasoning. I came as head of the system. We shot and killed people perhaps for taking 500 cedis loan from a bank. We did this to this person. We did this to this person. In the process, there were attempts to overthrow the government. Soldiers in the front line got shot and were killed. We those who survived it till today, is that the best we can do? By going back to those very, very things. This is where his biggest problem has always been.
Especially with this party.
Yes.
Some very deep insights there, and the full interview is later tonight at 8 p.m. on the Joy Prime Current Affairs show on the record. You're still watching The Pulse with me, Gifty and up here. Let's do a very quick break here. We'll be right back with more. Do stay with us. You're welcome back to the show. Now, the Multimedia Group once again underlined its credentials as the most authoritative media organization in Ghana after winning 4 prestigious awards at the 31st CIMG National Marketing Performance Awards. It was themed Marketing in a Disruptive Era. The event awarded businesses and some personalities who have adopted their approach and maintained standards of excellence regardless of the COVID-19 pandemic. While the Multimedia Group was adjudged the Media Organization of the Year 2019, Joy FM's Breakfast Show, the Super Morning Show, emerged radio program of the year. The company's website, myjoyonline.com, also received the Digital Media of the Year and the New Media Commercial Awards. There is more in this report by Bismarck Eusa.
Congratulations to the Multimedia Group for picking up the Media Organization of the Year 2019.
While the Multimedia Group was adjudged the Media Organization of the Year 2019, Joy FM's Breakfast Show, the Super Morning Show, emerged the Radio Program of the Year. And the company's website, myjoyonline.com, also received the Digital Media of the Year and also the New Media Commercial Awards. Speaking to Joy Business, host of the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM, Kojo Yankson said the recognition underlines the Multimedia Group's credentials as the most authoritative media organization in Ghana.
It's simply the result of hard work. You know, multimedia has really risen to the challenge over the past few years. You know, as competition has got stronger, it has become more and more important for us, the leaders, to up our game and keep our heads up and above the competition. And a night like this, where we have picked up 4 awards, is just demonstration that indeed we are still keeping our stamp on the industry, and multimedia remains the leader. Long may we do so.
Kojo Yankson also assured the general public of a fair and credible coverage of the upcoming presidential and parliamentary elections.
We've already laid out a plan for 2021, which is going to blow the minds of our audience, starting, of course, with the elections. Nobody covers elections better than multimedia. The election headquarters has been underway for some time. We're about to kick things into gear and cover elections this year like it has never been seen before.
On his part, National President of the CIMG, Dr. Daniel Kasati, warned the business community against unauthorized award schemes.
We wish to bring to the attention of said bodies that with the passage of the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana law, they require the express approval of the CIMG as the sole professional body mandated by law to set standards and regulate marketing practice before conducting such awards. We also caution potential awardees of such illegitimate awards to always conduct the needed due diligence before accepting such awards.
Speaking on the theme Marketing in a Disruptive Era, special guest of honor at the event, Professor Noel Tego admonished businesses to see opportunities in disruptions such as the COVID-19 pandemic.
To survive, you need resilience. To revive, you need agility. And to thrive, you need to be innovative in the kind of things that you do. And the fact that you can be viable is because disruption presents you with opportunities. And you've got to be able to see those opportunities and work through those opportunities.
Meanwhile, Chief Executive of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Akwasi Agyeman, and Group CEO of Hollard Ghana, Patience Achiano, emerged the CRMG Marketing Man and Woman of the Year, respectively. In all, about 48 awards were presented. Bismarck Awuse's report for Joy Business.
And congratulations to all of us. Meanwhile, JoyNews documentary Grounded Wheels, produced by freelance journalist Manasseh Azuri-Awene, won the best report for the anti-corruption category at the 2020 West African Media Excellence and Conference Awards. Manasseh Azuri-Awene, who is also crowned the best journalist for the West Africa at the awards ceremony held on Saturday night. There is more in this report.
740 entries came from 13 West African countries, and the judges from Kenya, Zimbabwe, Liberia, Senegal, and Cote d'Ivoire settled on the JoyNews investigative documentary Grounded Wheels as the best report in the anti-corruption category. The documentary uncovered how vehicles imported by the government of Ghana were abandoned because of various procurement infractions and overpricing. Producer of the documentary, Manasseh Azuri-Awene, worked at the multimedia group at the time.
I looked at the Ayalolo buses, I looked at the local government vehicles that were brought in the Rawlings era. I also looked at the ambulances and also mass-log procurement. So I delved deep, and before I realized, every one of them had procurement issues, and the vehicles were abandoned for quite a long time. So it was just to highlight how we waste money in this country, whilst also drawing attention to some of the very basic needs.
3 other Ghanaians were finalists for the 2020 edition of the awards. They are joining Solomon Jojo Kobna and Beryl Ernestina Richter, as well as TV3's Adjoa Adobia Owusu. JoyNews documentary on cerebral palsy, produced by Beryl Ernestina Richter, was nominated for the health category.
I feel so humbled in the first place because just within these few years, 3 to 4 years, to have gained this back-to-back nomination, then I think it's as a result of hard work and also teamwork at JoyNews, because everybody played a role, editors, cameramen, drivers, everybody. I want to first of all thank God for bringing me this far, because it's not been easy going to the homes of these parents who have children with special needs, especially cerebral palsy. And I thank God for bringing me this far, and also to my family. They've always had my back.
Meanwhile, Executive Director of Media Foundation for West Africa, Suleiman Abrahima, underscored the crucial role played by the media in these challenging times.
Journalists continued and still continue to play the critical roles they have played in combating the pandemic, not because they are immune to the virus. Indeed, as we all do know, several journalists have gotten infected and many have died. Journalists stayed on the front lines because they had to remain loyal to their calling and committed to serving the public interest.
The 4th edition of Womeka Awards was used to celebrate 20 outstanding journalists across West Africa. The winners were presented with plaques, certificates, and cash prizes. They would enjoy training opportunities from the Media Foundation for West Africa, organizers of the award.
Congratulations to them as well. But one more, investigative journalist Kwete Nate also bagged the Journalist of the Year honors at the second edition of the Ghana Cocoa Awards. The ceremony sought to recognize concerted efforts by individuals and organizations in making the cocoa industry robust. And a big congratulations to all of them, Beryl and Estina, Rachta, Jojo, Kobana, Kwete, Nate, Manasseh, Azura, winning, of course, to the documentary team here. Of course, the entire team Joy. There's more news at myjoyonline.com. Onidulo God, my name is Gifty Ando-Apia. Momentarily, we'll bring you a live feed from the Aliu Mahama Memorial Lectures happening up north. My name is Gifty Ando-Apia. Let's do this again tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll come your way again before then, by the way. Thank you for your time.